Tuesday, April 21st, 2026. I'm John DeWanzik, and this is the regular meeting of the Avon Lake Board of Municipal Utilities. Tonight's meeting is being streamed on Facebook and YouTube. We have all members here tonight except for Mr. Ricky, who is excused. We'll still take a vote of 3 for any motion that is going to be approved. 3 affirmative votes. All votes will be taken by voice vote with the exception of a vote to go into executive session, of which one is expected tonight. That will be taken by a roll call vote. With us tonight, to my left is Mr. Mondello and Mr. Rush, and to my right is Mr. Monroe, Chief Utilities Executive, and Mrs. Schnabel of the board. Seated at the table before me is, to my right, Mr. Urinich, and to my left, outside counsel Anthony Coyne. In the audience tonight is Mr. Gerald Phillips, Avon Lake citizen. We have an opportunity for public input in the second order of business tonight. Anyone in the audience that wishes to speak can do so for 3 minutes at that time. Also, if you're on the internet watching the meeting, Mr. Urinich will be monitoring for your comments. I will note that since I gave out who was here, Mr. Bill Zimmerman has entered the room, so he's also in the audience tonight. Mr. Rush, did I miss anything?
I don't believe so.
Thank you. So having dispensed with the perfunctory, let's move on to the approval of minutes. And I would like to suggest that we not approve the minutes tonight because I found the format to be congested and not in the format we usually use. So I would like to see the April 7th minutes redone so that these pages that are full of not paragraph breaks and so on be edited so that they're easier to read. So if the board does not object to that, I would put this approval off till next meeting. That seems to be okay with everyone.
Yeah.
And please edit the
We will.
minutes. Okay, now it's time for the public input. Anyone in the audience care to address the board?
Would you like to go first?
Mr. Phillips?
Good evening, Gerald Phillips, Avon Lake. I noticed on the agenda is the OWGA loan. And it says a motion to approve to apply for a loan for $13,730 and $901. I mean, $13,730,901. But then it also says it's anticipated you were going to put potentially $2 or $3 million down. So I'm not sure if you're applying for the full amount, or you should apply for just the net amount. So I see also on the furniture and fixtures, you're gonna pay that out of reserve. Last meeting, there was a lot of discussions about the administration building and how it's gonna be expanded. And I was a little confused of, is this building gonna be torn down, or are you just gonna add to it? And if so, what sections are gonna be at? It was kind of unclear to me. And also I noticed that starting in June, your meetings are going to be at the Lake House. And you're going to be working out of that, I don't know what you call it, mobile place for the other stuff. So if some clarity on that, that would be appreciated. Also, I noticed in your expenditures, the Zuka is being, paid for audits. Now, I'm aware of the fact that the city hired them, so I'm just curious, is that the allocation that has been made? And if so, I'm kind of curious of that allocation. The other thing is, recently you bought 75 acres, I don't know if it's 720 more or 702 more. And now you're buying an additional 10 acres. And the explanation was we needed another backup distribution land. But to have another distribution land, I'm sure you can get it on less land than 85 acres. And I'm not sure if the extra 10 acres is needed for the distribution land, line that's already there. Now, I'm assuming when we're talking about distribution lines, for water, I'm assuming LT1 or LT2. I'm not sure which one we're talking about. Also, it's nice to see, based on the minutes, that you're finally going after Lorco and collecting the outstanding debt. And my colleague, Mr. Coyne, has been authorized. So, and they were successful in getting money from COF, so I'm very happy about that. The city council has an ordinance as far as, and I don't have a copy of it, and maybe you have, or maybe you're not aware of it, where they're going to be allocating some of the administration expenses for the city, charging it to the water and sewer fund because they're business funds. So I guess my time's up. So I'll cover the rest of my other minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Phillips. Mr. Zimmerman?
William Zimmerman, Avon Lake. I actually think that Mr. Phillips was the one who found this missing money with Lorco when we began to make it a concerted effort that somebody would collect it. And having seen that now, that means that we don't have to try to go collect. Be nice to have the money back in our coffers like it belongs. So a month later, I have finally gotten my public records request. I don't know if you can tell what this is, but I surely cannot. And they want to give me a definition of 149.43A1V. V means it's either federal or, Gerald, what's the other term?
State.
State, thank you. In regards to why it's not done. They don't give me an explanation. They're supposed to give me an explanation. Now, I know this isn't your department because now this is legal. I don't know if it's his legal or if it's Ebert's legal because he's the guy who did this. So again, we'll end up in court. I don't know if you all know, but we've won recently several times against the city of Avon Lake in the Ohio Supreme Court and the appellate court. So it's not like we don't know what we're doing, and it's not like we're making frivolous lawsuits. This is corruption at its finest. Preventing transparency so that the citizens of the city can really know what's going on. Just like I've said, I don't believe Mr. Monroe should be on One Lorain County as a board member. I met with their president today. We had open discussions about it. I will meet with her again in another day or two. I intend to figure out why he's on it, why he shouldn't be, whatever the parameters are. This is just ongoing crap, as far as I'm concerned, how the city of Avon Lake operates. So, I have another matter. The IMI, something like that. The initial application for the $67 million from the All Ohio Future Funds included the statement in its paperwork that said that the city of Avon Lake was allowing or giving or whatever, using Avon Lake Regional Water as collateral. Who could possibly vote for that? Who would have the right to put that in a document? I don't believe that that's ever been given from you all or Mr. Monroe or whoever thought that they could do that and say that. So from my standpoint, This is fictitious. It's fraud. It's a crime. And I'd like to know who authorized that to be in the document. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Zimmerman. Mr. Urinich, is there anything from the internet? Okay, let's move on to the next item, which is correspondence. Mr. Monroe.
I do not have any correspondence this evening. Pass
Well, that
along.
was easy. Okay, next item is expenditures on your goldenrod sheets. Would anyone like to make a motion to approve the expenditures?
Sure.
Not, don't all volunteer one.
Sure. I move to approve the expenditures from April 1st through April 16th, 2026.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Rush. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Mrs. Schnabel, discussion. Well, one thing I heard Mr. Phillips saying, I also had questions about Zupka and Associates. Mr. Monroe, would you care to fill all of us in?
Yes, that is correct. That is the allocation that City Hall allocated our portion for audit services on the audit.
Okay, is this a new firm, or I don't remember that name from before?
They have used Zupka in the past. I believe the last they can only use the same firm so many years in a row before they have to switch firms. 5 years, I think that's accurate. And I believe the last 2 years they used the state auditor, and then they are utilizing this firm again.
Okay, and so it's just to kind of keep everybody fresh,
Correct.
so they're not just, oh, we already looked at this and
Correct.
so on. Okay, that's represented, I think, 3 or 4 times.
Was
in
that
the,
was that allocation just based on billable hours?
Yeah, well, it's based on audit funds, or what they're auditing. And I mean, we have I believe it's about 50%, if total, a little bit more probably than 50%. So it's allocated that way.
And how long does that audit take, and when will it be available for the public, such as Mr. Phillips?
That I do not know the answer to. I have to I check with Mr. Logan. He can probably more quick to answer that. But I know there's a deadline.
Several months.
There's a deadline for the audit to be completed. Of course, they can file for extensions in various reasons, but typically I would say, I know the last couple audits were delayed being released, but I know that the August-September timeframe would be typical timeline.
Okay, anyone else with questions? Mr. Mondello, Mrs. Schnabel?
I did have just a couple of things. On the first page, number 29, raw water motor, number 2 repair. Do you know what that one is?
So we are rebuilding, it's actually raw pump number 6. It's a 10 million gallon per day pump. Pump is being rebuilt, and when we have the pumps rebuilt, we have the motors done also, since they've already got everything just assembled and pulled out. That's a complete overhaul, bearings, windings.
Okay, thank you. And then I had one more. It was item 44 on the same page, and it says lab analysis at the water filtration plant. The company doesn't ring a bell to me. Do you know like what we were specifically having? Were we having something tested that's not normal?
It's one of the annual tests.
Okay,
I don't remember exactly which one it is, if it was, but it's one of the ones that our lab is not set up to do, and it's not something that the equipment is cost effective enough for us to
I
do
see.
in-house, so.
okay. And that's at the filtration plant.
Correct.
Yeah.
Anything else, Mrs. Schnabel?
No, that was all I had. Thank you.
Anyone else? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion passes. Okay, next item is the administration building expansion project, Mr. Monroe.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We did discuss this at the April 7th meeting in detail. We opened bids on March 31st for construction of the expansion of this building. I think one of the questions Mr. Phillips had was regarding if we were tearing this building completely down or if we were expanding. We are not tearing it completely down. We are expanding it. You know, we did have 6 bids that were received. So it was a very competitive process that there was even between the lowest and the highest bids, there was only about $400,000 difference. So it was a close bid. But the lowest responsive bidder was Rycon Construction out of Cleveland, Ohio. They submitted a base bid in the amount of $11,564,750. We do have recommended motion for the board for that. We also would like to include the alternate number 1 bid. That is for the remaining the garage and shop area of this existing building. The roof, we have deferred the replacement of that roof. The roof is almost 24 years old. We've had some leak issues. We've patched it several times. So we deferred that to include as part of this project. So that alternate number 1 bid, we had an owner's allowance in there of $850,000. So it would be $850,000 or less, because obviously once they submit their schedule of values and everything, they can't just charge us the flat $850 without having documentation to substantiate it and us approving it. So we do have that included in the total. The total with alternate 1 in the base bid would be $12,414,750.
Okay, yeah, it is amazingly tight, out of, looks like 6 bidders submitted bids. That's a attaboy for, I believe it was 6 Mo that did the plan, so must be a pretty good set of plans.
Between 1 and 2, there was only about a $30,000 difference in base bid price, about a 0.2%. That's very close between 2 bidders on a project this size.
I am happy with how we've done the last several years with plans not resulting in too many extras or disputes or anything like that. So good work on that. Comments from the board on that. Okay. There is a recommended motion. I'll be happy to make it myself for approving the budget in effect, or not the budget, but the execution of the contract. Budget was previously approved. So I would like to make the following motion. I move to authorize the CUE to execute a contract with Rycon Construction, Inc. for the administration building expansion project for the total base bid plus alternate 1 bid in the amount of $12,414,750 in accordance with the engineer's certified bid tabulation dated March 31st, 2026, plus an additional 10% contingency for any out of scope items related to the project. Furthermore, the award of this contract is contingent on approval of the funding application by the Ohio Water Development Authority. May I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Rush. Discussion. We hope that you're not going to use much of the 10% contingency.
We don't intend to.
Yeah. We haven't been actually on a lot of these projects too, so that's good. Anyone else with comments? Okay, all in favor of the motion, say aye. Aye, motion passes. Nice work and my compliments to, again, the consultants and the engineers doing the evaluation.
We will make sure that we pass those along.
Okay, next item is special inspections. You want to hire a service for somebody to third party inspections of the same project for an amount of $24,350. That correct? Anything to add?
That is correct. So just a little bit to add to that is, this contract, with, professional services industries, they're a third party that would come in and do special inspections on the project. For instance, doing, tension strength, test on, pull testing on concrete, to make sure that it is going to hold up, it meets specifications. There's two ways to do this. The general contractor can include it in their contract. If they do that, that's gonna be upcharged, anywhere from 15 to 25%. We see this markup. So we can contract directly with them and have the same results and save that markup. So that's the intention with this contract, and that what we have from them, and that was included in your board packets, not to exceed amount of $24,350.
Thank you, Mr. Monroe. Any questions, Mr. Rush?
Yes, thank you. When awarding these type of professional services, they actually have to be here at certain times during the process. If you're the general contractor, you ensure that that happens. How do we ensure that these folks are here when they need to be here?
So between Sixmo, who has, there is a partial construction management services under their design contract that's allocated for a certain amount of hours, not full time. But we have a dedicated inspector from our staff that will be here, all hours worked. Everything's documented to our standards. As far as construction schedule, when they have to coordinate, our inspector and our engineering services group will ensure that special inspections, that they are here when they're required to be here to perform the necessary testing so that we don't have any delays.
Thank you.
Anything else? I have to just point out, because my ears are the ears of an engineer, so you would only be testing the concrete for compression, not tension.
But see, you knew what I meant though, so I guess I relayed here.
Push she did. Okay, would someone like to make a motion?
Sure, I will.
Mrs. Schnabel?
I move to authorize the CUE to execute a contract with Professional Services Industries Incorporated for special inspections on the administration building expansion project for the not to exceed amount of $24,350, plus an additional 10% contingency for any out of scope items related to the project.
Thank you, Mrs. Schnabel. Mr. Mondello, perhaps you'd like to second that?
I'll second that.
Okay, good. Any further discussion? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion passes. Okay, next item, also relating to the expansion of the administration building, is the OWDA loan. There may be some answers to questions that were raised earlier in this as well.
Yes, so this would be authorization to apply for the funding. I know Mr. Phillips, one of his questions had to do with the full amount and what we would be paying in cash. So what we have is we have the Rycon Construction Incorporated bid, base bid plus their alternate in the $12,414,750. The professional services industries for special inspections at the $24,350. And then the 10% contingency that was authorized on both of those, which is $1,243,910. OWDA then has a administration fee of 0.35% of the loan that totals $47,891 for a total of $13,730,901. If we had to pay the entire project right now, we would feel comfortable paying between $2 to $3 million in cash for the project. What we're asking to apply for the full amount, but that's just the amount that's encumbered. What we actually spend Could be more in cash, could be more than 3 million, but it could be less. This gives us the flexibility of managing our cash flow. I can give you an example on other projects that we have done in the past. For instance, our bundle projects. I know like the 2020 water bundle project that included work on Jaycox. We came in under budget on the water portion, the part A. That is our responsibility. It was a partner project with the city. So we only spend we only incur that on the loan of what we actually submit for reimbursement. So even though we were authorized for a higher amount, we only actually expended the lower amount. And then the final debt service payments on the amortization schedule are based on the actual cost. On a project like this that is estimated to take about 13 months, this loan will show as open. Once we close everything out, then they issue a final amortization schedule and repayment schedule based on the actual costs of what was dispersed from the loan. So again, it gives us the flexibility that we want to manage the cash reserves again, keeping them invested. We have approximately 27 million invested right now in Star, Ohio, earning, I believe it's a hair less than 4%. But as you know, the last couple of years, we have managed that well. At one point, Star, Ohio was paying over 5%. So that has been a nice for our coffers as far as that interest coming in. So we do have furniture and fixtures, furnishings of the project that are not included in this. We can procure that off of there's several different cooperative purchasing programs that we're members of. Those are contracts that have already been bid out. We are members of those cooperative purchasing programs. Again, we estimate that we're going to be around 550,000 to furnish the building once it's complete. And we would just pay that in cash. And again, that would be at the end of the project. So we can keep our money invested, earning interest.
Okay, one thing that I think would be reasonable to ask at this time is any idea what the interest rate is going to be?
On this, because it will be at the end of this month for approval with OWDA's board, they are the last, I believe it's the last Thursday of the month, and I believe there's 5 Thursdays in April. But it would be based on the rate May 1st, which we wouldn't know yet. But current rate is just under 4%.
Okay, so we'll actually be ahead versus what we're getting at Star, Ohio. Okay, reasonable. Any questions from any other board members? Would someone like to make the motion?
I can read it.
Okay, this is Schnabel.
I move to authorize the CUE and Business and Financial Coordinator to submit a loan application with the Ohio Water Development Authority for the Administration Building Expansion Project in the amount of $13,730,901.
Thank you, Mr. Schnabel. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Rush. Further discussion? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Motion is approved. Okay, moving right along, Mr. Urinich, perhaps you'd like to give us your your updates on the projects.
It's picture time. So here we are looking at the new filters that have been constructed. They've installed a false floor so that they have access to the ability to paint the ceiling. They have some additional electric work, some additional conduit to run for lighting over top of the filters. So that's what they're doing in this picture.
Looks remarkably like the existing.
Could maybe point out if you can point out where you're talking about the false floors and what the filters actually are.
So they installed steel beams, aluminum beams across the openings. Underneath here is where filter media and the water will eventually be. These are filters 25 and 27. So they'll be painting all the concrete area up there, painting walls, and installing light fixtures above the filters so that the operators have a clearer view of the process. This is inside the new chemical feed structure. They've continued with the electrical work there. They've installed the heaters, so that way, obviously keeping that warm throughout the winter.
What is the device on the left above the view of the camera? The last picture,
On the last
Go back
picture,
one.
right here,
yeah.
that's a
That's
heater.
the
The heater. That's just event work to go outside, bringing in fresh air when needed.
Thank you, sorry to,
It's okay.
just caught my eye.
I guess I should stay up here. So this is the existing rapid mix area of the plant. We have the two raw water lines, the green lines coming in, bringing the water into the plant. They have run the double walled chemical feed tubing over to the locations where the carbon will be fed and the aluminum sulfate, the coagulant that we feed. So they have ran it over there. They have not made the connections yet. They'll be doing that as we get closer to switching over to the new chemicals.
And when you say the carbon will be fed, is this some kind of fluidized carbon?
So yes, it does use carrying water, the powdered activated carbon. It's dry in the silos. You can't quite see it in that picture, but we have the two silos outside that hold the powder. It's injected with carrying water and fed at the start of the process. That gives it the most time to react with the water, help with removing total organic carbon from the lake water so that it doesn't mix with the chlorine later in the process.
Whereas if you'll, bear with me for a moment, the carbon at one time was stationary and all the water passed through a bed of carbon, is that different carbon?
That is a different carbon. That
Okay.
is the granular activated carbon. Our plant is not set up to do that. Some plants will actually use that as their filter media so that when it passes through, our plant was set up to use powdered, introduced to the process. And this way it gives it more time to really react with the water.
But it is you doing the same
Correct.
job of, okay, what I'm familiar with is stationary. Okay, Mr. Rush.
Does this process compare to the other process speed up production of water?
I mean, there's advantages to both. Just the way this plant was designed, we just added as part of the mixture as it heads through the settling basins and then to the filters. There's advantages to each, but we feel this is a better process and it would require a lot more modification to the plant to switch over to the granular activated carbon.
Eventually, this is all filtered out somewhere further in the stream.
Correct.
You don't get carbon in your glass.
No.
Okay.
In this picture, they're doing some trenching from the new filters. The existing MCC in that part of the plant is full. There was not room to add any more connections in that MCC. So they're running conduit to the switchgear located up by the generator and doing the tie-in that way. That line will come into a new motor control center in the new filter gallery. And they're just working on the conduit installation at this point.
Thank you for that decrypt of MCC. Now, maybe you can tell us a little bit more about what the motor control center actually handles.
So that is kind of acting as the power distribution for all of the equipment. Similar to a breaker box in your house, the power comes in, then there's individual breakers for each circuit, different types of equipment, various sizes, amperages. So those are all set up in the MCC, the Motor Control Center. We didn't have any more space in the existing part of the plant through various expansions over the years. So they added a new MCC room and are running conduit directly to the switchgear.
How sensitive is all this equipment to voltage fluctuations and things that you would use power conditioners for, such as on your computers and all?
So within the switchgear, there is some power conditioning that takes place. If there's drastic changes throughout the system as what's supplied to the plant, then you will get into where it shuts things down to prevent any damage. That's when we would typically switch over to being powered by the generator to really smooth that power out until the distribution system for the electrical company can stabilize.
May I go on further? Since the removal of the power plant, and really it's just a pass through at this point, the substations that are there, have we noticed any change in the quality of the power in this region?
No, I wouldn't say that we've noticed any changes.
Better or worse?
Because we
Same.
have the one substation near Avondale supplies one of the feeds to the plant. And for redundancy, we have a separate feed that comes in. I believe that's from Westlake. So we've got a mix of power coming into the plant at all times, and we haven't noticed any difference in stability or outages before or after that power plant was decommissioned.
Sorry to drill you with all that.
No, it's okay. I had answers for those questions. So that was good.
Good. Anyone else? Okay, thank you for that, Mr. Vernich. You have no update for TechWin, but you do have one for the water bundle project.
I do. Underground Utilities, Inc. They were working on the new water main installation on Armour Road. That has passed its acceptance testing. So this week they're working on transferring over services. And both UUI and KMU right now, they're going to spend about a week and a half focused on restoration. All the work that they'd done over the winter, they tidied up the best they could, but they couldn't really do any seeding or any of that until the weather started to become a little more favorable. So they're both going to be going through previous project areas and performing that restoration in the next coming weeks.
Okay. I believe I saw some UUI trucks just to the south of the tracks on Jaycox last week. What was going on there? Like there's a facility there.
That's Avon's pump station. They were doing some work there, but it was not related to us.
So they're hired by Avon.
They must have been. yes.
Okay. All right. Questions by anyone for Mr. Urinich? Okay. Thank you, Mr. Urinich. Next item is CUE report, Mr. Monroe.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just a couple of quick items. As a reminder, I will not be present at the May 5th meeting. I will be on personal leave. And also at that May 5th meeting, Mr. Urinich will sit in for me. Mr. Logan will be here. We met a few months ago, discussed an update to our regulations regarding our investment policies. And he taking board's comments into consideration. He has a new draft he'll be sending out shortly. And he would like to discuss that at the next board meeting for hopefully for approval. He intends to get that out to you as soon as possible so that if there's any additional comments, we can incorporate those in. Really what this is just going to expand is allowing investments, fifth, third securities that as rates are dropping a little, this would allow us to maybe look at a little longer of a investment term to leverage a more attractive rate. But again, we know that we don't like to tie funds up for multiple years. And again, that was part of the conversation we had previously regarding our investment policy and the board's board authorizing any investments. So that's just an FYI that at the next meeting, May 5th, Mr. Logan will be here to discuss that.
Thank you, Mr. Monroe. Anything else?
That is all I have. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Let's see. Any members with reports? I do not have any at this time. Time for public input. Anyone wanting to address the board at this time?
Gerald Phillips, Avon Lake again. Go back to the topic, allocation of the expenses. You have your own legal counsel, Mr. Coyne and Mansur Gavin, but sometimes you hire Gary Ebert in his firm. So as far as allocation of expenses, there shouldn't be any from the city over to this water department. As far as the audit, if I heard right, 50% I believe is high. If you look at the number of funds that are in the CAFRA and the amount of work, I think that's high if they're charging 50%. They're talking about allocating some of the finance director and that department expenses. But I understand you have Mr. Logan, and I'd be quite concerned of how much they're gonna allocate. The last CAFRA for 24 was finalized on November 15th, 25. You know, some cities are way behind. Lorraine hasn't done their 2023 or 2024 yet. You have two legal firms, Gary Ebert and his firm, and Anthony Coyne and Mansur Gavin. I believe there's a conflict between the two because this board is deemed separate and the regional water was deemed separate. And a number of years ago, there was a court case that was done in the Court of Appeals where it held that you two are separate entities to the extent and therefore they should be separate on certain matters. So I believe there's a conflict. Plus, I would prefer you hire Mansur Gavin and Mr. Coyne because I don't believe Gary Ebert. I just don't. I don't have a high respect for him. The meeting minutes that you talked about, you know, revising them. The lead case is White versus Clinton, and the standard is that the meeting minutes should contain enough detail that if somebody's not at that meeting, they can understand what transpired. That's the legal standard. So as far as the public records that Mr. Zimmerman was talking about and the fact that they're being redacted in its entirety, that public records request was for the regional water documents. I don't think Mr. Ebert should be making that decision. I think it should be your own counsel and keeping it separate. That's my opinion. As far as this letter of interest that was circulated with the 67.4 million, you know, I find that quite disturbing that somebody would put in a loan application and they granted the loan application with the fact that we're pledging $100 million of assets of Avon Lake Regional Water and its revenues for that loan. So I don't know who did that, but I'd be quite concerned. I guess my time's up.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Phillips. Mr. Zimmerman?
William Zimmerman. So I would agree with Mr. Phillips in the standpoint that we need to get to the bottom of who would have allowed the Avon Lake Regional Water to be used as collateral. Because I think it would have been a vote of all of you, just like you did for the Clearwater project, 5-0. Which I'm still appalled about. That's the worst deal ever presented. So you should go and try to find out from the county commissioners, Armbruster, whoever sent the letter and put in the application on who's acting on behalf of y'all by saying, yeah, we can use this as collateral. I'd be troubled by that if I was in your shoes. I don't think that's appropriate use. It's probably a felony of some kind. Need to find out who's falsifying documents on behalf of Avon Lake Regional Water. Because if you're not voting, nobody should have been able to. I don't believe Mr. Monroe has the ability to do that on his own. Y'all need to find out what's happening. This is a big deal. I'm going to the State House tomorrow to go talk to people about it. Another example of just corruption.
Thank you, Mr. Zimmerman, Mr. Urinich, anybody
There is not.
from the world? Okay. Next item is a request for executive session. Mr. Rush, would you like to make the motion?
Sure. Prior to making the motion, I will say that the CUE does not anticipate formal action from the board upon reconvening to the public meeting.
Thank you, Mr. Rush.
I move to meet in executive session as allowed by Ohio Revised Code Section 121.22 G1, G2, and G3 to discuss the compensation of public employees, the purchase and or sale of property for public purposes, and pending or imminent court action, and include the CUE, the CUO, and a representative from Mansard Gavin.
Thank you, Mr. Rush. Is there a second?
A second.
Second by Mrs. Schnabel. We'll have a roll call vote. Mr. Mondello,
Yes.
Mrs. Schnabel.
Yes.
Mr. Rush.
Yes.
Chairman votes yes. We will go into executive session when the room is cleared. The time is 7:16 PM.